Hey Jeremiah, how's it going?
Hi, everything's going good. Thank you for having me.
Of
Thank you.
course, of course. I had spoken at the Broward College several times and you caught my attention and all the professors were bragging about you. So of course I
Wow,
had to have you on my podcast.
that means a lot. Wow, did not even know it.
Yes, for sure, for sure. So today we're going to go over a couple of things. So this is going to be a nice chat, and I'm looking forward to what unveils today, especially you as a paralegal student. It's going to bring a different perspective of either people that have been through it or trying to go through it or are in it. So it's going to be
Right,
a whole full-on circle for most of us. Some of us are going to be like, maybe I do want to do it, maybe I don't, because
right.
the paralegal world is a little different, than other industries out there. And I'm sure you've had a little taste of it during your paralegal studies at Broward College. So tell us a little bit of what kind of advice you have for those that are either looking to come into the paralegal studies programs or that are already in it and are just trying to manage, the chaos of it all.
So my first piece of advice would be two things. Figuring out what are you going to school for. If you're going to school just for the degree, for a paralegal degree, you may learn some, but you may not take full advantage of the program. But if you go to school for the knowledge and you go in it saying, I'm going to apply the knowledge that I take from each class into the real world, I believe the paralegal studies program is where it's at, because each class that I participated in, there was some way, somehow it connected to the real world. For example, I took my real estate class, and my Professor Schlossberg, she kept telling us, become a notary, become a notary. If it looks good on your resume. If you don't, even if you don't use it, just have it on your resume. And for a long time, I heard it, but I wasn't listening to it. And it wasn't until, again, when we met for the second time at the mentor mentee meeting, when I met my mentor, and she was a notary and she was a real estate paralegal and a certified paralegal. And talking to her reinforced what Professor Schlossberg was saying. And within a month or two, the knowledge that I obtained from speaking to Professor Schlossberg, speaking to you, speaking to Bianca, speaking to my mentors, speaking to literally everyone, from the professors that were prosecutors, from the professors that were judges. Judge Fry, I give a big shout out to Judge Fry,
Go
and
Judge.
and just the lawyers that give their time and their energy to give us the knowledge. And from there, I took that and I became a notary. I became a notary signing agent, and I became a remote online notary. And everything came full circle, because the same thing my mentor, my professor was telling me, I used that. And when my mentor needed a notary, my mentor needed a remote, when my mentor needed a remote online notary, guess who was there to provide that service for her? And, it's those little things that you have to find connections in the real world and what you're learning in school.
Yeah, so application is everything, right? A lot of us look at school as our school life, then we have our personal life, then we have our professional life, and we look at our life in like little boxes. And we even, create our own little worlds. Like we act differently at home versus, at the job. We react to different situations depending where we're at, what ambiance we're in, what,
Yep.
around the certain people that we're in. We dress differently, right? So society has always taught us that we need to be a certain person. We need to put on a certain button or a certain personality depending on where you're at and who you're with, and
Right.
are you comfortable, are you not comfortable, do you feel at home, do you not feel at home, are you at home, You know, so your brain subconsciously, and you know, starts asking and answering all these questions. And in reality, you always have to be yourself. That's the only person you can be, is yourself. And a lot of people, you know, put on this persona and try and act differently. And
Yeah.
you know, obviously I'm not saying that you should crack some jokes in the middle of a presentation at school, you know, obviously, you know, but you can always make people
Right.
smile and always be
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and never lose yourself in the process of trying to, you know, pass that class, get that job. At the end of the day, people are hiring you as the person, not you as the person that you're perceiving, right? So you're going to handle their clients, you're going to handle their caseload, you're going to basically be the manager, right? The manager
Right.
of the caseload. That's basically what a paralegal does. So at the end of the day, if the attorney or the hiring manager does not feel comfortable or doesn't feel like your personality fits the caseload, then it's better for both of you, because they know what their clients want and what they don't want. And don't take that personal, just because every law firm has different clientele, and every law firm perceives it as something else. And, you know, everybody loves to say, oh, they didn't hire me because of this, this, and this. And it's, in reality, hiring managers have a better perception of what the client wants versus the law firm's needs, where your skills are, where the experience is. So all these elements you have to take into consideration. And again, don't take it personal. So
Right.
you're my little tech guru. I love it. You even helped me on some things on the podcast, and thank you for that. So tell us about what you see the future as, like, technology in the legal field, especially now during the pandemic. It has really highlighted the inefficiencies, and the outdated technology when it comes to like trials and mediations and depositions. So technology has really become more important, if not the most important, when it comes to the legal field, as at least pivoting and being innovative in the legal field, which before the pandemic, I don't feel it was very in the forefront. So give us your take on that.
So I wrote this down on a whiteboard. I wrote
I
this
know
down on a
you have a
whiteboard.
lot, so I get it.
So I don't know if you can see this. I don't. It's not showing,
No.
but it says growth,
Mm.
and that's a big thing. A big thing that I want to pinpoint on this topic, because I am not the same Jeremiah who I was first day of paralegal class. And I think a lot of paralegal students should take that in mind. Each day that goes on, you're a different person, not a different, pretty much you have to strive to be at least 1% better than what you were the day before. And going from the person who I was from the very beginning of paralegal class to who I am now, it's all because of the connections that I saw in the field, in the legal field, in person, and in school. So within the first month in my paralegal studies program, I obtained a job at a company called Trial Spectrum, and we helped lawyers in courtrooms present their trial to the jury and to judges. And walking in the courtrooms, I had the chance to see what they had and what they were working with. And I found it funny because I was a month or two within the program, and I was working with lawyers and working with judges and going to trial and sitting on hearings, and I saw the connections from each class that I took, and I saw the same definitions I was learning in class, I was hearing from the judges, I was hearing from the attorneys, and from there it gave me a perspective that a lot may not have seen, because having to help the attorneys present their trial, we see what kind of equipment that they need. They need projectors, and sometimes it's really basic things that you realize that it's just the It's just a projector screen and a projector and PowerPoint and little old Adobe. And sometimes they don't have that. Sometimes, they have to outsource their equipment from us just to have their trial. Sometimes I'm at trial from the very beginning, 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, until once everyone leave. And that goes into technology, because around the same time I was in trial almost every week, going to courtrooms throughout the Tri-County area every week, to where out of nowhere we're back home. Out of nowhere we're stuck at the office. Out of nowhere the business is slow because everything was revolved around the courtroom. So now it's, what are we going to do? Technology has, technology is not anything bad. And there's a quote that I'm blanking on his name, but he said, if you suppress innovation early on, there will be missed opportunities. And right now, there's a lot of innovation that should be taken on, that we as we as legal professionals in the industry. I'm not a professional, I'm a paralegal student, but someone like yourself and the lawyers and the judges and the mediators and everyone who knows the business, there's a technology behind that. For example, you have LexisNexis. They use cloud computing already. You have LogicQ. They use cloud computing. You have Clio. You have Westlaw. You have a lot of technology that's out there that's already moving the goalposts and moving towards the where we should go as the legal industry, and it's really up to us to make it happen, because I see that it's possible. And when there's problems, we as legal professionals, our main job are problem solvers.
Right.
So when we're faced with problems on how to transition, how to move forward, there's a lot of us that's already doing it. Ethan Wall expressed how his law firm was already prepared much in advance, and they didn't prepare for it, but that goes to show that the technology is already out there. It's up to us as the legal industry to, and like we talked about, to embrace it, to realize that we have a symbiotic relationship with technology, because we cannot.
There's no other way.
There's no other way. Everything that we do is revolved around technology. LinkedIn, social networking, or social media. We cannot get away from technology. So why fight? Why fight it instead of going with the flow?
Yeah, like everything else in the legal industry, it's outdated, right? We say this a lot on this podcast, that it's outdated, it needs an upgrade, and technology is definitely one of the key factors of updating. The laws are very ancient. They haven't really, they get amended here and there, but there's no real-time updating, right? And by real-time, obviously, it's not going to happen in a day, but at least within the year would be nice. And it can, but it doesn't. And there's a lot of bottlenecks, there's a lot of processes, a lot of rules and procedures that get in the way of the innovation, right? We get so caught up in all these little legalities where, yes, they're important, they're put in place for a reason. However, they're also impeding on the growth of the legal industry. So why don't we amend those as well and kind of do like a full-on reform where we're still within the legal guidelines, but yet we can still move forward within a reasonable amount of time, which is kind of where we're trying to get right now. And I think the pandemic has really highlighted everything, the frustration that the legal professionals have been going through for decades, because this is nothing new. This has always been this way. The legal industry has always been kind of a 1-2, right? Kind of like for technology. It's always been, okay, here's the bill. open to interpretation, you know,
Yeah,
like,
right.
really, like that broad, you're going to leave it that broad? Like there's a lot of movement
It's
there that
really,
can be interpreted very, you know, differently, which is kind of what we're going through now, you know, with the social injustices and social reform and education and how that's handled. So, you know, I kind of, the legal industry is what I call the heartbeat of every industry. It pours into every other industry in the entire world, but especially here in the United States. So, you know, it's something that obviously we need to get, right? We need to get on it, and it needs to be one of the first. Pandemic has kind of brought the healthcare on top of that. So, you know, we got to get that going first, and then we can move on with the technology portion of it.
I want to say something, because my professor, he made a great point that he stated a problem that I don't even think he realized that I feel like there's a solution out there, because he was saying he's an immigration lawyer. And and he was saying how in immigration court there's a lot of moving parts, when it comes to immigration law. There's a lot of moving parts where one judge may preside on one case, and then people in that jurisdiction may not hear about it until a couple hours later. Then another judge may decide on something else. And that, like you said, knowing real-time information is too slow. And I believe with the technology that's out there, there's no reason why we can't come up with the great minds, come up with the mastermind group, come up with a group of attorneys, group of developers, group of DBAs, group of people people that we need to create these applications. Because I could think of a application where, you know, when the cases get presided on, why can't we create a application where the public may get notified, or the attorneys may get notified? Because if we have a society where they're ignorant to a lot of the law, so in my opinion, it would benefit society if if it was as easy to know the law, as easy as it was to like a picture on Instagram. If it was as easy as it was to post your photo on Instagram, it was as easy as it is to record yourself on TikTok and post it to millions of people. If it was that easy to know about the law as it is to do these things, I think a lot of society would benefit from it. There's a lot of things that we as a society can benefit from if the law embraced what's already out there. We can't walk outside without any form of technology in our face. So why are we afraid of it?
No, and I agree with you. You know, I think society as a whole has their priorities out of whack as well, right? You know, it's more important to see how many likes we got on our post than it is when our next election is. Like we were talking about shortly, I was already reading my mail-in ballot that I received to vote for the next commissioner of my city. And that's another thing. A lot of people focus on the big picture, right? So they focus on the presidential elections, senator, mayors, things like that, but they don't focus on their local community, right? Because we can move mountains in our own community, which can create a chain reaction to other communities, which then will continue and, you know, like the domino effect, right? So everybody focuses on who the next president is going to be, whether they're going to be Republican or Democrat or whatever whatever color you like, because right now it's all colors, you know, they're all the same to me. And they don't focus on, well, what can I do with my community? What can I do for the children that live in my community, for the low income communities that surround my community? What can I do for them? What can I do for that person that I see every single day waiting at that bus stop that doesn't have even shoes, but needs to take the bus to go somewhere? Like that happened to me. I used to take my son to my mom's house, and there was this person gentleman. He was sitting in a like a healthcare wheelchair kind of thing where it has like all the pockets and everything. And every day I would see this man just residing there in the lake right by my mom's house. And I was like, I wonder what his story is. And I did.
Right.
I parked my car in the middle of the street. I parked it on the grass and I asked him, and I had a conversation with him, and he was the most sweetest person I've ever met in my life. And I'm like, I was just curious, why every morning I see you here by this lake all alone, no nothing. And I even brought, the next day I brought him food, I brought him water, and we just, it was a great moment. And I feel like we're so caught up in our day-to-day life, and trust me, I have enough to do, but when you hit pause to just that moment, you know, and just that made, I was having a horrible day, and that just made my day the best, right? Because I had this conversation with this gentleman that I was just genuinely curious about, just seeing him there every single day. And he was talking to himself, and he ended up being prayers. He was more preaching and praying,
Right.
and, you know, speaking the Lord's words. But it was great. It was, you know, it was amazing. And every morning when he sees me, he waves at me in my car. And, you know, it's just a moment that we need to be, you know, my thing, right? Human, put the human back in humanity. I always say that. That's like my slogan now. Everybody's like, yeah, you know, but
Yeah,
it's so true. And, you know, sometimes, you know, yes, we have technology and we have all this, but just being a person, just
exactly.
doing community service, not because you have to, you know, you know, not because you got in trouble and you got to do it, just, you know, giving to whatever religious community you have, or just your, you know, supporting your local sports, if sports is your passion, you know, little things like that can create such a chain reaction. And, you know, people just focus on the big picture. So there's other ways that we can also create that human effect and that change that we want to see, versus trying to beat somebody up on social media that really doesn't care. They don't care what you have to say. So why are you even wasting your energy? Just go out there in your community and make a difference. Be the difference you want to see. Make that change you want to see, and stop posting. Just do it. That's what we need right now. Just do it. Go Nike. So that brings me to my next topic, because I know you had a lot of questions for me regarding during the paralegal studies and the graduating, you know, once you graduate, what to expect, or and things like that. So I'm all ears. Go ahead.
So yeah, I had a couple questions. Like the first one.
Oh goodness.
No. Just the first tip. The first question: resume tips and cover letter tips for paralegals graduating, and what are the best practices for us entering the workforce?
So my go-to for resume and cover letters, very simple. A lot of people that don't have experience in the legal field is where I say create a CV, which is a curriculum vitae, instead of a resume, because a resume is going to show all the not experience that you have in the legal industry. A CV will create a story and will create, highlight the skills that you do have for the legal industry. Just because you don't have experience in the legal industry does not count you out for being in the legal industry. There's a lot of skills that you can carry on from other industries. Like I said, the legal industry pours into every single industry. So there are other skills that you already hold and that you are either enhancing or embracing or, you know, fine tuning while you're in your paralegal studies that you can add to your CV. So definitely convert your resume into a CV versus just giving out a resume and having them see that you have no experience. Now, a cover letter to me is more than what I call the thank you, right? Thank you for even looking at my resume, or thank you for, that's not what a cover letter should be. It should be more of an introduction. Hey, I saw that XYZ firm is located in my community. I want to make a change in the community. I want to be part of the change in my community. And I feel that if I work for a law firm that gives back in the community in the legal industry, I want to be part of that. And that's why I'm actually interview or wanting, you know, to get hired or looking or seeking a position in your firm. That is more to the heart, right? You have to understand these people are looking at thousands, if not, you
Right.
know, millions now, right, of resumes of experienced paralegals, non-experienced, like they have a diversity, because right now they're just looking for a good fit. And it's hard for an attorney to get a good fit. So you can be that good fit regardless of your experience, your education. So don't sell yourself short, is always what I say. Always focus on what you can bring to the table, not what you can't. And that way you're putting your skill and you're putting your experience that you already have in the forefront, not lying to them, because obviously they're going to know that you have no experience, but at least get your foot in the door so that you can give them the rest of your story. But make them curious on your cover letter. You know, hey, wow, that was really powerful. I love those words, you know, to giving back to the community. That's always my go-to. If you're not in the community and maybe you're trying to change location, there you go. I want a new start. I want a fresh start. I'm trying to look for other ways I can make a change in the legal industry. You like really give them the fact that this is your passion. This is what you want to do, because that's what they need. They may not know it, but that's what they need.
Yeah, I completely understand. And another question, what are some ways that paralegal students can be more involved on campus, be more involved in the community? Like you say, in the community, one of the things that our professors kept telling us was get involved in the Broward County Bar Association, get involved in any local bar association, get involved in anything you can. And I've done that. And actually, I went on to one of the picnics. They had a mentor-mentee picnic. I networked, did a little thing, just had fun. Just saw the crowd. And even if I, you know, even if there were no networking involved, the fact that you're in that field, in the area, feeding off of the energy, figuring out how I want to get your advice on what can we do more so in the future, especially with everything turning into virtual.
Yeah, so everything's virtual now, right? So, and it's probably going to stay that way for a little bit, right? Because even after this vaccine and all this pandemic, people are still going to be a little hasty of still going out there and, you know, being in close proximity to other people. So it's going to be a continuous thing. I foresee the legal industry going half and half. You know, that you have the option to attend in person, but you can also have the option to attend virtually. And they'll probably have the full-on screens like you kind of see on the talk shows where you can see the individual person. So I kind of foresee the legal industry kind of doing the same thing. Maybe even jury at one point, the jury will probably either be virtual or in person. So I do see it going that way, just because I kind of see the trend of how it's going now versus how it was before. And I can kind of see the full picture. Don't quote me on that. I'm not saying that that is what's going to happen, but that's basically where I foresee the future of the legal industry moving towards. So to more directly answer your question, networking is great. I love networking. It's amazing. And I think networking, or I guess organizations, are not a one size fit all. So kind of like what you would do with your employer, like your future employer, like a firm that you're looking into, and you're going to research them and make sure they're going to be a good fit, that the money is there. You kind of analyze your situation. I say do the same thing with networking. Analyze the organization, see if they have the right goals that you're looking for, see how long they've been around, who the actual members are. Are they young? Are they older? Are they a mix? Are they eclectic? Ethnicity? Are they compatible with you? Because I feel that when you feel at home, when you feel comfortable, that's when you're going to shine. So you need people surrounding you that are going to make you shine, and that are really you're going to have conversations that really hit home with you, that you're going to be memorable. You're going to be so memorable that you're not even going to have to provide them with your business card. They're going to ask you for it. So put yourself in that situation where you feel comfortable. Like you said, with the picnics, oh my God, that's me all day. I would go to a picnic versus a conference any day. I don't like going to conferences. I am not a business board person, even though everybody thinks I am. I don't like that, but you get me to a picnic, you get me to a movie night, you gave me, you know, charades, that is my jam. So like, if it's something outside the whole businessy, you know, stuffy, kind of feel, then I'm all for it, you know, whether it's virtual, whether it's in person. I have to be with people that are not like-minded, because not everybody that likes picnics and everything are like-minded, but that have at least some similarities to create that foundation that I can build upon. Like anything else in life, right? We have to have a strong foundation so we can build upon it. And that way, these people will one day either become your colleagues, will become part of your network, or will even refer you business or refer you, you know, job entries. Hey, I have this friend that's a paralegal that's looking for, you know, their firm's looking for this and blah, blah, blah. And it just creates this whole chain reaction. So for paralegals in general, I never say stick to the paralegal organizations. I think that kind of limits your options, just because if you're just in a paralegal association, everybody else is a paralegal. So it's like, you know, not that they're your competition, because I always say there's only one of you, but really get a feel for the membership, right? So make sure there's attorneys, other legal professionals, paralegal students, paralegals. You want a good mix, right? Because I even had somebody come to me saying that I'm leaving my firm, but I want my attorney to have a really good paralegal. Do you know of anyone? So things like that, where you create an eclectic mix of networks and really research the type of members, where they are. Is it close to home? Is it far from home? Is it even feasible for your schedule? All that you need to take into consideration when you're actually networking. And also another little self tip, I always talk about what I do, regardless where I'm at. So I have a friend that's a fellow paralegal. I went to her house. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anyone there. She was the only one I knew. It was my first time going there, this and that. And I ended up having a blast, right? Because that's me. And we started talking, and everybody's like, oh, what do you do? And I told them and this and that. There just happened to be a guy that was an attorney. And we hit it off. I gave him my business card, and we ended up doing a couple projects together. Same thing. I was celebrating one of my cousin's birthdays. Again, I knew few people, but I didn't know many people. There just happened to be a couple that were also attorneys. So, you know, when you talk about what you do and how you talk about it is the difference. You don't just say, hey, I'm a paralegal. No, I offer legal assistance to change the legal industry, this and that. When they see that passion and when they can resonate with you, you're drawing them in. You're now becoming a storyteller. Go Amanda Gorman. I had to take that from her. But you're now becoming a storyteller versus just telling somebody what you do. And that goes through your interview process. That goes through the hiring process. That goes through the training process. You, like, again, same theme, always be yourself, never lose yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And we spoke about this in the pre-interview. As attorneys, and as judges, and especially with the pandemic going on, they don't have any time for a lot of things. So how can we, as paralegals, paralegal students, how can we effectively take back our time, master our time? Because I thought about this, and I thought to myself, we are the time for the law firm. We billable hours, this and that, But besides all of that, if the lawyer don't have time to keep up with the new technology that's out there, the judges don't have time, the courtrooms don't have time to be advanced, to be advanced with the moving technology. We as paralegals, as a paralegal student, we have, I'm not gonna say all the time in the world, but we have a lot of time to gain the knowledge that we need. So when we do get into the legal field, we already come with a vast amount of knowledge. Like, for example, in one of my classes, in my legal research class, we were tasked with getting a certification in Westlaw legal research. And at the time, your first year as a paralegal student, you may say to yourself, why do I need this now? I'm not going to use it anytime soon. But that goes back to my first point, going to school, knowing that you're going to gain a lot of knowledge and use that knowledge in the real world. So my question to you is, how can we as paralegals, paralegal students, how can we use the time that we have that the attorneys and judges don't have to innovate and progress the legal field?
That's a good one, actually. Well, you know, I am the time mastery guru, so perfect question for me. So I got a few tips outside of my product method and all that you've already learned, because you've been to almost all my workshops and you've listened to all my talks. So we're not going to go over the product method, but aside from that, what I always say is learn the technology that you already have. So a lot of attorneys, they buy the software thinking that it's going to help them, that, you know, it's the best one for their firm, because they get sold by a salesperson that has no idea what they need, but they just want to get the commission. So one thing I always tell my students, you know, paralegals that I coach, is learn the software you already have, right? Because you're not going to reinvent the wheel. You're not going to try and convince the attorney to buy another software or anything like that. At this point, the attorney is either set in their ways. Now, if you hear them talking about that they want another software, great. Be that person, be that echo in their ear and be like, yeah, we need another software. This one's limiting your firm. And then give them solutions. Don't give them the problems, give them the solutions. So always be the solution finder versus the solution seeker. But aside from all of that, I always say, learn what you already have, work with what you have, right? But that's really our entire life. We always have to work with what we have until we get something else, and we work with that, and then, you know, move on and move on. So whatever the software that your firm is using, or in this case, a paralegal studies program, I would do a simple Google search and kind of see in your area what the most, you know, top-notch softwares are used in that area that you're looking to work. And start looking at the tutorials. Every software has tutorials for free on their website. Right. You just go into their website, you hit on the training videos, and it teaches you everything. YouTube is amazing. You can also use YouTube. Yeah. And, you know, start looking at videos and start learning all the software. So that way, again, you have that foundation, right? So you move to the interview and be like, oh, you use Clio? Well, you know, did you know that Clio does this, this, and this? And then, you know, you can create the templates, and then from the templates, you can convert them and merge them, and it'll save you like about 10 to 15 times. So when you learn the software, learn what it does and use it to your advantage, then you are one step ahead of the game of anybody else that's probably been working there, never got the training, and never really had that initiative to, you know, learn other than what they've learned on the go. Another thing is work after hours when you're starting at a firm. A lot of people get stuck in their ways and work the 9 to 5 and don't really continue to learn. If they can't teach you during the 9 to 5 because they're so busy, maybe they can teach you after hours or before hours. That's what I did at my first job. So I sat with a paralegal, even though I wasn't a paralegal myself, and I sat with them after hours, and I learned more about the software, about what they do, how they manage the caseload, how big the caseload is, what the caseload entails. Like, if I ever get to this position, what am I expecting? What am I to expect? So when attorneys, when the managers, when the supervisors, when they see all that initiative, when they see all that knowledge that you bring to the table, the experience is no longer relevant.
Got you. Thank you. And I have another question. When it comes to attorneys and hiring managers and being the right fit, you gave me a little gist during your last talk on your last Eventbrite talk, but I want you to tell the audience what are the most sought out skills for attorneys and hiring managers. Like, what are they really looking for someone who has been paralegal for a long time?
Caseload management, I would say, is the top one. If you can manage a caseload from start to finish, which means from the intake, from the time the client steps into the firm to the time the client steps out from the firm, you're golden. That's what they need. Paralegals are managers of caseloads. That's what we do. That's our thing. No matter how big the caseload is, how small it is, no matter even if they have an intake person or they have a closing person or whatever it is, if you know the entire process from start to finish, that's it. You'll be, you know, top notch. You'll be with them forever, because God forbid the intake person leaves, the closing person leaves, and they always have a backup. They always have a person that has that knowledge. Right. So I would say if you're going into, obviously that looks a little different depending on the practices. So if you're going into a personal injury firm, it's going to be a little different than if you go into like criminal law, or, you know, if you go into family law. So it really, if you already know your niche and you already know what kind of practice you're looking at, if you don't, I would look at the processes just in general. So like a civil litigation process versus a criminal law process. So if you learn those processes, how it works in your jurisdiction, obviously depending on what state you're in, it's also going to differ. So if you look at those processes, how it works in general, which they have, so the Florida Bar has it on their website, where you can go there and it has like a graph on how the civil litigation process works in the state of Florida, how the criminal case works in Florida. And New York has it, Chicago, Arizona, California, they all have it, where they have like a step-by-step process as far as how the general civil litigation process works and criminal. So if you don't know quite where you want to be at, you're still testing the waters and you still want to get a job in every practice to kind of figure that out, definitely just work on the processes, because that's really going to be your job, is to manage the process and implement the process.
Got it. And I think that's the beauty of the paralegal studies program, is you get the chance to take many different classes in many different areas of law. And as a paralegal student, you get to feel for what you like and what kind of field you want to, you know, pursue. And especially knowing what's expected in the legal field. Like, for if you have a professor that's a judge, he could tell you straight up how it goes down in that jurisdiction, or how it goes down in that courtroom, or what to expect when you're filing a motion, filing a notice, or filing an order. Like, and then the beauty of it is every class, they give us like what if scenarios and case scenarios, hypotheticals. And now I'm in a group project in one class, and we are a small law firm in this class, and we're another law firm in this class. And so it's preparing us for working as a group. It's preparing us to write legal documents. It's preparing us when we have to be, you know, present in class. It's preparing us to communicate, because that's the most thing it's mainly what we're going to be doing every day as a paralegal. And just being involved in it, it's just allowing me and allowing us, and I feel like for all the paralegals out there, for all the paralegal students out there, take advantage of every opportunity out there. I always say, take advantage of opportunities, don't take advantage of people. And because as a student, you have, and if you're a paralegal student out there, I want you to take time out, get a piece of paper, a pen, and write this down, because it's very valuable. This is free information. And if you're a Broward College student out there, any student, well, I won't speak for Broward College. If you're a Broward College student, you have access to LinkedIn Learning, and use that to your advantage. Anything you want to learn is out there. I had a job offer, and the boss, the owner, he said he wanted someone who knew QuickBooks, someone who knew QuickBooks in and out. At that time, I didn't know QuickBooks, but I went on LinkedIn Learning, found the course. Within a couple of days, now I have a LinkedIn certification on I'm a QuickBooks certification on my LinkedIn, and that goes back to growth as a paralegal student. You will not be the same person you are on day one and the day you graduate. And when you realize that, and you embrace that growth, and you embrace the knowledge that you don't know, because we may know we think we know something, but in reality we don't know what we don't even like. It's so going into it with that mindset of, okay, I may not know the legal field now, I may not know what the laws are now, I may not know what LLC or corporation, I may not know how to file an order, I may not know how to file a motion, I may not know how to write an inter-office memo. You may not know how to do all those things on day one, but that doesn't mean you're not going to learn it on the day of graduation. And I just want to point out for a lot of paralegal students out there, don't be afraid or don't be intimidated by working paralegals entering the paralegal program. I like to say we are at the same level. It's like we are in practice. In practice, we are here to learn. We are here to learn the fundamentals of the game. We are here to learn from each other. If you see you see a paralegal with 10 years of experience, don't be intimidated. Don't say, oh, they know more than me, so why should I try? Pick their brain, figure out what they know. And that allowed me to make a lot of connections, a lot of friends, and I find it funny because you have working paralegals come, they might have been working for 5-10 years, and they might not need the certification because they already have their spot in the firm, but they come back because they may know how to do it, they may know how to file, they may know how to file a motion, they may know how to do legal research, but it's a lot of them come back and say, I want to know why. And why I'm doing that, why, and it's funny because they say, wow, I didn't know this, or why I didn't know that. And for someone who's been in the program for 2 years, I'm in every one of my classes, I have working paralegals, and I get to pick their brain, I get to hear what they say, and honestly, we're at the same level. And I'm not saying, of course they have more real world experience than me, but once we're in class, we're learning the same material, we're taking the same tests, we have the same professor. So it's not like law school where it's competitive. Like, no, you go over there, I got my squad, you got your, we should be here working together. And as a paralegal student, I just want to let everyone know that there's a lot of information. You have LinkedIn Learning, you have Adobe Creative Cloud, and this works towards, these are skills that can be used in a law firm, because I had the experience to see that a lot of law firms need documents, need exhibits, need PowerPoint slides, and needs these different things for a trial. And the more you have more hands-on experience with products like Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, Adobe Audition, Adobe After Effects, Adobe anything. And as a Broward College student, you have free access to it. Most law firms use Microsoft Office. Guess what? As a paralegal student, or as a student in Broward College, you have a free subscription to the whole Office suite. So, and then you have Cali.org. If you're not familiar with that, Cali.org, inquire about that. And there in Broward County Bar Association, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of sign up to Broward County Bar Association for free as a paralegal student. And I just want to leave off with, as a paralegal student, take advantage of all the opportunities in front of you, the networking, your friends, your professors, any wisdom that come your way. If you got the easiest, the least expensive thing you could probably give out, but the most valuable, is your time and energy. For the mentor-mentee program that you took part of, and the presentations that you gave us your time and energy, and that was very valuable, especially for me now. And I know for a fact for a lot of students in the program. So, and I want to end off with, in class, in the program, we are in practice. We are here to learn the fundamentals of the game. And once we graduate, we are in the game, and being in the game meaning being autonomous, being, when something comes your way, you don't freeze up. You know how to handle it. Like when a basketball player get thrown the basketball and three seconds left in the game, you don't freeze up. You got to do what you got to do. And you may not know everything, especially if we're paralegals. We're not supposed to know everything. That's the lawyer's job. They do all the thinking while we do majority of the work. And
yeah.
one of my professors this semester told us that, like, as a paralegal, you do all the work and we do all the thinking. And that's where we have to, that's the mindset that we have to have. In the program, we're in practice, we're on the same level, we're learning the same thing. And once we graduate, it's time to be in the game, time to be autonomous, time to continue learning, because you always have to learn. And it's time to, face what you have in front of you.
Right. And not only that, I wanted to just add to what you just said, because you said a lot of good things. But you particularly said about the seasons, right? What we call the seasoned paralegals joining the program. I was seasoned. I graduated, I think it was 2010. So I had already a couple of years under my belt when I actually went to the paralegal studies program, just to get a little more advantage on my resume and make my resume a little more full. But the sole fact that we're going back to school for a degree or whatever the reason is that the seasoned paralegals are going, it doesn't matter if we're in a classroom or if we're at home or if we're at our law firm. I make it a mission to learn something new every day. And so it's a continuous learning, does not stop in the classroom. Like you said, we need to embrace our network. We need to embrace our colleagues. We need to embrace our fellow friends and family. Oh, there's always something new to learn, whether you disagree with it or not. That's your, I guess, decision to make. But learning and listening are two things that is a skill that's never taught. And so a lot of us have an issue with that, trying to listen to somebody that's does not have your opinion. So regardless of where you're at in life, your skills, your experience, always know that you're still learning. Don't ever think that you're the smartest one in the room. Don't ever think that you know more than the person next to you because of X, Y, and Z. You fill in the blank however you feel like it. Even when I'm doing my paralegal coaching, I always learn from the person I'm coaching, because I listen and I care. And that's really important. So regardless, always learn, always listen, always embrace. And my word of the day, empathy. Always have empathy.
Yes, definitely.
Well, it was a pleasure, Jeremiah.
Yes.
I appreciated this time with you. I wish we can go on for days, because I'm sure we can.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming on and showing really the audience the paralegal experience and the paralegal student experience and what you've learned, what you've acquired, what you're still learning. I feel like that's going to be very beneficial. And I hope to see you soon, which I'm sure we are.
Yes.
We will still keep in touch. I love Broward College, so I hope you enjoy your day. And again, thank you.